Hi everyone, Bernard here from Citizen Vlogs, and this is a sad one today again. It's obviously we have to do these. This is a gentleman who sadly passed away on the 28th of April 2020, a certain Michael Robinson. Obviously I'm more familiar to me when I used to watch him play for City in the one season he spent with City, 1979 to 80. We've got a few images here to show you anyway through some of the programmes, and obviously our condolences and our best wishes of all, myself and all City fans, I'm sure, go to the family and friends of Michael Robinson, who passed away as I'm recording this today, 28th of April 2020. Only 61. I'll be 61 myself this year, so it's very hard to think of that, isn't it, and things like that. Certainly for someone my age. Obviously, Michael Robinson was born on the 12th of July 1958, so obviously he was a Cancerian like me. I was born in July 1959, so I was born almost a year later. He only had one City with one season with City, as I said. But he did actually get some trophies, not with City. He actually did make some appearances for Liverpool as well. Obviously, he played even less games, I think, for Liverpool. I think it was similar amount of games, for Liverpool as he did for City. But he managed to pick up a league titles medal, a European Cup medal, and a League Cup medal, so that wasn't too bad, was it? Obviously, we didn't give him anything apart from a few heartbreaks. Obviously, he joined us at a time when Malcolm Allison, obviously the great Peter Swell's experiment was going on at Main Road. Tony Buck had been moved upstairs, still there, but Malcolm Allison was in total charge of the team, was bringing in different players, and one of those players was obviously what we're going to talk about today, Michael Robinson. The fee could be anywhere from 750,000 to 765,000 with obviously there's VAT involved and stuff like this when I saw some of the figures, but obviously even the City programme had two different figures on the same day, so that just shows you. But anywhere between if we say 750,000 to 765, we're not far out. And he came from Preston, and he signed on June the 26th 1979, but actually the paperwork I think completed on the 3rd of July, and that was just days before his 21st birthday, and on the obviously the 12th of July that year, 1979. He did feature in the pre-season friendlies for City, and we got him in action there against Coventry City up in Scotland. We did lose that game, unfortunately, but that was his actual debut for City in a friendly game against Coventry City there up in some tournament in Scotland. There's actually another image of him in the same game with the famous Coventry brown kit there, but that's obviously from the first programme of the season where he would make his league debut, obviously, but some images from there. And he actually scored in a couple of friendlies in Belgium, over in Belgium. He scored a goal. There's two friendlies. He scored a goal in both games, so he actually scored in the friendlies as well. And there's a great image in this. Crystal Palace, this was his league debut game, the Saturday 18th of August 1979. And there's a great image there with a couple of other signings. We did sign other players that year. Stuart Lee and Steve Daly joined us as well with this Allison Revolution experiment, as Mr. Swales called it, and he did regret it, obviously. But that's a great image. Bobby Shinton, Steve McKenzie, and of course Michael Robinson there. That's a fantastic image there of the three new signings at that point in time. It's fantastic. I love that image. That is a great one. And there's action inside, obviously, from more pre-season friendlies. And Malcolm Allison's little piece in the programme. He's not said much about Michael Robinson. He says when he talks about him, one of the problems has been to find an ideal partner for Robinson. Young striker did especially well in the last two games. So he's talking about obviously the Belgium when we toured Belgium. But it is important that I find very quickly the right blend in this attacking area. Robinson is going to be a great asset to us, and I'm sure he will make an impact that will earn him a place in the England team of the future. Well, he actually had played for Ireland, so Malcolm Allison wasn't probably wasn't where he had the ability to play for Ireland as well as England. He did win over 20 caps, I think, for Ireland as well. And there's a nice little piece from Peter, I think it's Peter Doherty did it, Paul Doherty, sorry, my apologies, Paul Doherty, another fantastic picture there. That's great, having a Mick Robinson, as he used to call him, rather than Michael, relaxing with a cup of coffee after completing his signing for City. So, I mean, there's another fantastic image of Mike Robinson. And just reading from the introduction, whether a player can compose himself, dismiss the pressures and deliver the goods as a regular goal scorer while carrying the burden of a 765,000 fee around his neck has been one of the big summer debates among summer fans. I think he was the second most expensive player at that time for the transfer, which obviously a lot of people, were quite surprised at the amount of money we were paying for certain players. Obviously we had Steve Daly come along as well, didn't we? But another one. He goes on to say, listen to what he said today from City team manager Malcolm Allison, who has guided the striker closely through all the pre-season work and felt as delighted as a player when Mick found his scoring touch last weekend with 1 goal, the winner against Beerschot, and 1 netted the following day against Bruges in the Belgium tournament. Mick is the most powerful young centre-forward in the country, claims Allison. He's a lad who'll never take no for an answer, and that's why he survived at Preston. He is young, he is keen, he will listen, and I think will do very well in the First Division. So there you go, early things from obviously the debut game from Michael Robinson. He didn't score in that game, unfortunately, but he didn't have long to wait to actually get his goal. He actually came in the Brighton game, Brighton and Hove Albion, and in this game there's some action from the Crystal Palace game. So that was his debut game against Palace, which ended in a 0-0 draw. But there he is in action in there. So he got his first goal in this game against Brighton and Hove Albion, which is on Saturday, 25th of August, and it was actually from a penalty. So he's actually the penalty taker for City this season. I think he scored 3 goals from penalties in total this season. So yeah, that was his first game where he actually scored against Brighton and Hove Albion. A great picture. I think I got Tommy Caton on the front there, another one who's sadly no longer with us, unfortunately. And obviously we got some action from that Brighton game as well. So we got some great action again, featuring Michael Robinson again from the Brighton game. Some great stuff there. And we've also got the penalty. So we've got the 3 stages: the strike, the route, the result. So we've got the actual images of the penalty being taken by Michael. Can we call him Mick or Michael? We're not sure. I mean, as I say, I'm so used to Michael Robinson actually rather than Mick. I'm not sure if he had songs at the time. I can't remember a song for Michael Robinson, to be honest with you. But there's the 3 stages of the penalty. So that's his first goal for City from the penalty. And he joked in here that obviously it was said that obviously he took the penalty so he could get his first goal because he hadn't scored obviously in 3 competitive games. So he did sort of joke in the comments on it that that's probably why he was asked to take the penalty. One of his most memorable games from City fans was the game against Manchester United, which we won 2-0, and he scored one of the goals against that. And there's a squad picture in there as well, and you can spot Michael Robinson on the end of the top row there. So that's the team squad from the season. Say there was a few more additions after this as well, so that was great. Could see him in the team squad. He had obviously he got a great picture of him in action against Phil Thompson of Liverpool in a 4-0 defeat. It wasn't usual for us to not lose 4-0 to Liverpool those days. It seemed to happen every time we played Liverpool at Main Road. They beat us 4-0. So that was from the end of October. And there's one little, so they used to do a little special on players. So they had a Mick Robinson special for the game against Derby County. He did score in this one, 15 for the 12.79. So there's a hit and a miss. So obviously one that didn't go in, but he did score a goal as well. So that's action. They made action from 15th of December 1979. And obviously no City fans need reminding about. I've got no images of this one. I don't want to show any images of this one, but sadly he was part of the team that lost to Halifax Town in the FA Cup. I mean, we don't really need a reminder of that, do we? But Michael was sadly one of our players there. He actually played at number 9 most of the games. He did play at number 11. There's one game he played as sub as well, which we'll go on to. But yeah, he's showing his number 10 there, Michael Robinson, but he did wear the number 9 as well for City. But the less said about the Halifax Town thing, the better. Got another little action one here from a 0-0 draw with Norwich, but obviously it's an attempted sort of Dennis Stewart-esque sort of bicycle kick from Mike Robinson there. Michael Robinson. I'm having trouble myself. What we called him, because I'm sure at the time I always called him Michael. I just don't remember him being Mick, but obviously he's referred to as Mick Robinson as well. So that's a great image. The Kippax in the background there, the 0-0 against Norwich. And of course, I'll go on to he had some problems health-wise, but we'll go on to that in the last game, the last programme of the season, because it was covered in that, just his stats, etc. But obviously he had to do things like promotions and obviously give winning lottery tickets out. That's for a winning lottery ticket from a news agent, so he has to go and give the cheque to the guy who's won £1,000. So, I mean, they all have to do these sort of things, even though he'd fell out of favour a little bit. With Dennis Stewart and Kevin Reeves joined in the latter half of the season. He sort of, obviously with his health problems, etc., which we'll talk about in a sec, he sort of fell out of favour, so he didn't really play much after the early March game. He came on against Arsenal. He played against Arsenal as sub. He came on as sub in that game against Arsenal. And I've got actually an image of him in action, getting a bit of a battering from the Arsenal goalkeeper, Pat Jennings there. So they are Pat's so Irish as well. So obviously a link there as well with Pat Jennings. He would have probably played with Pat Jennings or against Pat Jennings here as well. So that's another great image, isn't it? He said he got a bit of a batter in that game. He said he said it's no worse than it was in the second division, though. He said obviously with Preston it was, he got more harder knocks in the second division. And his last game was again against Bristol City. It was a 3-1 win. This was the 19th of April. That was the last game he played. Actually scored in the 3-1 win against Bristol City. So that was his last actual game he played in. And I'll come on to the last game, because this was the last game of the season, 3rd of May, 1980 we're into now, obviously 1979-80 season, because what he did, it had a little piece on all the players, the stats, etc. So it had a little piece on Mike Robinson. At that stage he was still with City, he hadn't been transferred on to, I think he went on to Brighton from City, a cut price deal I think at the end of the season. So his stats, his 79-80 league record was he played 29 plus 1 as sub and scored 8 excluding today's game. So obviously he didn't play in this last game, so that was his total for the season. His City career league record, played 30 plus 1 as sub, because obviously he did have the cup game. Scored 8, so I think he was City's top scorer that season. Shows we weren't very good. I think he was City's top scorer. Obviously, as at that time, his total career league record was played 74 plus 4 as sub and scored 23, and that was in total. And I think he played just over 300 games in total when he moved on to Brighton and Liverpool and places like that. But obviously, this goes on to explain, and it's his own words about what happened with the season and why he wasn't perhaps as prolific and good as it could have been for him. So this is like quoting from the programme, and again from Mike Robinson. For the first dozen games of the season, I was quite pleased, but then I lost an edge to my play and I was disappointed with my performances. I picked up a lot of bugs which made me unwell and was far from feeling my best for 8 games or so. When I was dropped, I thought it was the best thing for me. Playing in the Central League brought back some of my old confidence and fitness, and I thought I'd get my senior place back earlier than I did. Note, he was recalled a fortnight ago against Bristol City. I wasn't pleased with the headlines my illnesses made in one Sunday paper. I just answered some questions. Next thing I know, it was dramatised all over the back page. It was blown up about out of all proportions. I had a severe case of tonsillitis which caused my throat to close and I couldn't eat or drink for more than a week. I lost 1.5 stone in weight. In fact, against Derby in mid-December, which we saw there, I played over 21 pounds below my best weight. Since I based my game on strength and energy, that really floored me. Looking back, I feel the size of the fee, 750,000, has bothered me. I stopped doing things that were usually easy for me because I felt the fans were expecting much more because the club had paid so much. At first it upset me when the fans were chanting, "What a waste of money." So sorry. I certainly don't remember that, but it probably chanting at every City player that season, to be honest with you. But I feel I can cock a deaf ear to the bad remarks called from the terraces these days, and our Kipax fans have always been right behind me because they know I give 100%. Yeah, I think it was the away fans singing "What a waste of money." I don't think it was the City fans. So yeah, I mean that's just a standard thing in those days. Or and we still sing it now, don't we, to players? It's not helped that I'm a sensitive person, but I've grown up such a lot in the last 9 months. I came here a young lad, far from ready for all the things that were to happen. Moving into a new house for the first time has taken some readjustment. I'd always lived with my parents, could turn to them for advice so easily. Living on my own made it different, yes. The phone was there, but it was a new situation for me. Not having my parents around sometimes has been a disadvantage, though in the long run it's been an advantage in making me more adult and in life, and it's a break that people have to make sooner or later. The 2 games I recall from the season was a home win over Manchester United and the victory at Leeds last September. Against United I played with lots of aggression, and I was pleased with my display. To cap all this by scoring one of our 2 goals made it a delight. At Leeds I suffered a lot of aggravation from the Leeds team, and I felt I kept my head well. They had Paul Hart sent off for a foul on me, and Paul Madeley broke his nose in a collision with me. I'd never had a right hiding before that match, and I was pleased at the way I responded. When I scored against Bristol the other week, I really was jubilant, which is why I dashed over to the City bench to celebrate and virtually say to Malcolm, "Pick the bones out of that." So obviously she was on a bit of a row with Malcolm at the time. I believe that's really what Malcolm was trying to get me to do. He wanted me to take a fiery personality onto the field, and I've probably only shown this in a dozen games during the season, so it was good that I taunted him back. The City fans have not really seen my goal-scoring ability, and I want to put that right. I've hit less than a dozen this season, and I'm disappointed. So obviously there's no thought then that he would believe in City, but that's an interesting summation of the season. And just to finish off, obviously, with this tribute, a fantastic picture, a fantastic image. And Genesis were appearing in Manchester around that time, around the end of the season time. And we got a great picture here of Michael with Phil Collins, Kevin Reeves, another City player, and Andy Peebles, the DJ Andy Peebles. So it's just a fantastic image, I think, to finish off with today. I think that's a great one, showing Phil Collins there, and obviously Michael's there with his City top on. But I think that's a great image to finish off this little tribute to Michael Robinson, who say it wasn't with us long, was he? I mean, obviously about 30 games or so, but I remember him. I still remember him. I thought he was a good player. I remember him being a good player, but it was a funny time. As I say, I think Swales commented in that last programme that it was an experiment that had gone wrong, and we knew things were going to go from bad to worse, didn't we, with Malcolm Ellis in the season after, obviously. So he came at perhaps the wrong time, but hey, he got 3 great medals, didn't he? He got a European Cup medal. There's not many, there's only a limited amount of English players can claim that as well. So yeah, our love and best wishes to everyone associated with Michael Robinson, and our thanks for the time he did spend at City. And yeah, I for one remember I've watched most of his games that season. So yeah, all the best to his family, and that was just a little tribute of mine to Michael Robinson. Rest in peace. Anyway, this is Bernard for the Citizen vlog. Hopefully you'll join me again for something very soon. This is Bernard saying goodbye for now. Bye-bye.